Himalaya Wellness Company is one of the world's leading global herbal healthcare brands that has been harnessing the science of Ayurveda since the 1930s. Today present in over 100 countries, it does go on to spread its promise of wellness in every home, happiness in every heart, across millions of people around the world. Welcome to the House of Wellness Season 2, a podcast powered by Himalaya Wellness Company. This season, it's all about holistic wellness. There's so many facets to it. But by talking to people who have excelled in their own fields, whether it's sport or health or sustainable living, we can try and better understand this complicated world. After all, who doesn't want to live a healthier and happier life? The House of Wellness Season 2 is a journey where we are empowered with more knowledge and certainly inspiration so that we can make wellness a central part of our lives. In this episode, we're very happy to welcome somebody very special, Vani Murthy, who is an environmentalist, a homemaker, and a solid waste management professional. If we're going to live in a better world, we'll owe it to Vani. Vani, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're delighted to have a professional in what is a very important part of our world, sustainability. I also know that you have a moniker, a sort of a nickname, Wormrani. Is that true? And when did you get it?
When I started this journey, I started using social media. And then when I got onto Instagram, I tried to get a name. And my friend suggested, why not make it something quirky? So since you are playing around with worms, talking about them, let's make it Wormrani. Because they were already calling me Compost Queen. So she said, make it Wormrani. I said, why not?
Well, I like Compost Queen. But that is, of course, the core of what you do. And surely there's a story to why you have dedicated so much precious time for a very precious topic, sustainability and the management of waste. What led to the start of this journey? Because surely you weren't involved with this all your life.
Definitely not. I've been a regular homemaker, wife, mother, and doing all the things at home, but never anything outside home. So when my kids grew up, I was 45, and I thought I should explore something more than what I'm already doing. And that's when I started going out, meeting people, attending meetings of the Resident Association. So I met Dr. Meenakshi, who is my mentor, and she introduced me to a big problem. She said, waste is humongous and we need to do something. And we were a part of a campaign called WOW, Wealth Out of Waste, where we had to get more and more people aware on segregating their waste. And then in this, we started meeting more people who were doing the same amount of work around awareness in different parts in Bangalore city. And something, the universe just puts you together. And it was so marvelous that we came as a team and created the Solid Waste Management Roundtable, and we visited the landfill. That was my turning point. I can never go back to my old life after understanding the impact of my action. So when we visited the landfill, I swore that I will not send my waste there. So if I don't send my waste there, what do I do with the waste that I generate? We all generate waste. So I think that has become the most important turning point for me. And I've never stopped after that.
Why waste management? Or was it just a quirk of fate that you chose to do something that's very important for our world because you could have done anything else?
I just think that waste happened to me. I mean, I didn't go seeking anything. What organically I could connect to was this. And it was very important for me because I generate waste and I'm not taking responsibility for it. And how can we get more and more people to take responsibility of the waste they generate? This is one planet that we have, and we really can't leave trash behind for future generations. That stuck in my head because I heard this saying that we don't inherit this planet, but we borrow it from the future. And what are we leaving behind?
Tell me a bit about that landfill experience, because I don't think there are many people who've gone to a landfill and kind of really absorbed what's going on in there. So what is it all about? And I know there's a huge landfill that I see outside Delhi once in a while when we're there, and it's like a mountain of waste, which just appears kind of unnatural, unreal. And yet they exist around most big cities in India, don't they?
When we formed the team, it was citizens team, where concerned citizens concerned about the environment of the city and the management of the city's waste, we decided to visit the landfill. As we approached, we saw, as you said, the mountain of garbage. We could get the stink. It was so bad, and there were villages all around. All the waste that the city generates, that too in mixed forms, they get dumped there. And as they dump every day, they compact it so that they can make space for the next day. And the one that I visited was called Mavalipura. There was already, when we visited, there was already a lot of protests about to stop dumping there. And the villagers were also rising to say that, no, this is not done. It is affecting us. And what I got to know, which I never knew before, is the pollution that it generates. So when organic matter, because 60% of what we generate at our homes, individual homes, is organic in nature. That is, comes from our kitchen. And they get trapped in these landfills because they compact it. And when organic matter gets compacted, it starts to break down anaerobically without the help of oxygen. So methane gets generated. So landfills emit so much of methane, which is like 20-25% more toxic than carbon dioxide. And so first of all, air pollution happens. Secondly, this organic matter that's getting broken down in an anaerobic way starts to flow out, the leachate. Leachate is a very strong toxic fluid that's not contained, but it is let out. And this goes into the ground, into the soil, and into the water table. So the three things that are so vital for us to live on this planet, air, water, and soil to grow our food, are getting contaminated. When that strikes you, when that you are contributing to that pollution, you will definitely want to make a choice about what you're going to do, how responsible you're going to be, about what you want to generate, how you're going to manage it, how you're going to divert it away from the landfill.
You mentioned air, water, and soil. Let's begin with soil. All three are very important because obviously soil gets very badly contaminated, and better soil, organic soil, or organic produce through better soil is such a key for our health. So can you spread some more light on that? Because your waste segregation now, your efforts are obviously helping regenerate the soil to be more organic.
I never understood what food I'm eating. We just go to the supermarket, pick up food, fruits, vegetables, groceries. But then the minute I started managing my waste and realized that 60% of my waste is organic in nature, and it is the smallest portion that I can manage. If I dump it along with the municipality, it's a huge, like Bangalore generates 5,000 to 6,000 tons per day. So since I decided I won't contribute to that, I started to compost. I failed terribly in the first attempt because I didn't understand the process. But when I actually started doing well and started understanding, it was magical. Composting is one of the, I say it's the rent I pay every day to live on this planet. Because when I compost that 60% of the waste that I generate, I'm creating not just an amazing soil to grow food, but also I'm not letting it go. Good resources get lost. So it's in every way, it is a win-win when you start composting. And once I composted, I realized that this organic waste, organic matter, the organic matter that we generate is not waste. It should go back to where it belongs, and it belongs to the soil. And soil should be a living soil. That's where we need to grow our food. We forget now, like most of us don't understand that our food is all so toxic because there's so much chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, all kinds of things that are toxic to you when you consume. That's how the food is grown. So if your land, if your soil gets depleted of any organic matter, there's no life in it. Because the microorganisms, earthworms, they all depend on organic matter. And when that's completely missing and you put toxic chemicals, there's pollution, there's plastic everywhere. So there are microplastics in your soil. So it is coming back to you in some form or the other. And this soil, if it doesn't have organic matter, it has no water retention. There's no humus. So it does not hold water. Soil completely depletes. It becomes desertification.
Sounds like a terrible cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
But is soil, can it be regenerated? Because once it's lost all its values over centuries of farming and perhaps now more and more chemical farming, as you put it, but on a larger scale where the ground is still in large agricultural situations, can they be provided with this organic compost, or is that a challenge?
Actually, you should go back to traditional methods of farming. You always had the cows in the farm. All the farm waste was put back into the soil. They was healthy with earthworms. We all study that earthworms are the best farmers' best friends. If you see some of the farmers who still believe in natural farming, organic is a very new word. We are talking about constantly regenerating the soil. So when the desertification happens and when your soil is depleted completely of organic matter and microorganisms, then there is no life. So you need to put back. So definitely it helps when you bring back the practices, biodiversity in your farming, not monocropping. So I think farming methods needs to shift back to traditional methods of farming where you use Jivamruta, which really, kicked up the entire essence of the life under the soil. And all the cow dung, cow urine, they were all a part of the agricultural practices. They say 1 handful of soil that is organic, which has microorganisms, there are more microorganisms than the number of people on this planet in 1 handful. I mean, that's kind of life, vibrant life.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah, that's the vibrant life under your feet.
Billions.
Billions. That's the life under the feet that we need to maintain, which people have forgotten, So again, so much of food gets wasted. You grow so much of food, half the food you dump. Is this a kind of farming really good? They say they can feed the entire world if you go into that. Pandemic was one great revelation that you have immunity, very low immunity. Why do you have low immunity? Because you don't have nourishment. There is life in soil. That life creates the nutrients for the plants to absorb, readily available. And when the plants absorb that, we get that nutrients directly from the plant that's grown in that soil.
The more I hear about all of this, the more it sounds like such a big universe that we'll need hours to keep talking about it. But I will have to advise people, eat frugally and don't waste food, because it's very important, as Vani says. For the moment, organic food, whatever is labeled as such, one, of course, it has to be well regulated, no doubt. I hope it is. And two, it always seems to be more expensive than regular food. Now, that is obviously a problem when it comes to wider affordability. Is that reducing this width, this gap between affordability?
I think so. If you take my personal experience, I too thought that organic food is expensive, but if I go to a supermarket, but what if I connect directly with the farmer? So I'm a part of a community-supported agriculture where a group of farmers are growing regional, seasonal, local, and they don't use anything that hurts their soil. Whether they send me the same thing again and again, I'm fine with it because I know they don't have organic certification. I trust the farmer who believes in his what was passed down by his generations, the kind of agriculture. So I think a lot of people tell me that it's expensive. If this is expensive, why is the other food so cheap? It's grown in mass. You don't have control on how much of pesticides they put. So find farmers, go to farmers markets, find small time farmers who are growing in medium and small scale, and they have biodiversity in their farm. There is no pest attack because they know what to grow at which season and rotation of crops. So there is so much intricate design behind the growing of food. So I think it's important for people to realize and not just say, because today's lifestyle is so fast-paced, people don't even pause to think that is the food that we eat is helping us or harming us.
Which takes me to this next word of the nutritional power of food. And the better it's grown, or in the better circumstances that it's grown, organically or so, is it also therefore just naturally more nutritious in terms of the nutrients that all that food has, whether it's vegetables or pulses or whatever else?
People who have been talking about organic farming and people who talk about natural farming, they have come out with so much of data saying that definitely this food is more nutritious and there are no toxins. First thing is you won't have any toxins.
Just less poisonous to begin with.
Yeah.
But if we can relate that perhaps to the mental development of all those who eat more nutritious food, not necessarily expensive food, is there a correlation that you found where mentally people are obviously benefiting from just eating food that's cleaner?
I'm an example. So people ask me, what is it? You have so much energy. Today, I'm so energetic. I just love to go my garden, being in touch with nature, just encouraging the biodiversity within my terrace, the birds, the butterflies. I rear butterflies so that people know that these are caterpillars that eating your food, not your food, it's their food. If they see a caterpillar on a curry patta plant, they think it's a pest and they spray something or kill it. I said, it is there. They have the first right on it. So to create awareness, I rear to make sure that they see the cycle of life. So I put out reels and videos to make sure that people understand that we need to let nature thrive.
Obviously, what you do is leading to sustainability and of not just agriculture or plants, but of the world itself. And can we spend a little more time on just how these practices will ensure that we live in a cleaner, better world and a sustainable world?
To me, sustainability is going back a couple of generations. They lived sustainable. Everything, there was no waste. There was nothing they were over consuming. Probably, if you didn't know how your grandparents lived, to go and visit how they lived, what kind of lifestyle they had, and then practice them. Take a cloth bag. Your grandfather or grandmother, they would have taken a cloth bag. Don't accept plastic. One time use. Nobody used tissues those days. It was always even rag cloths, old lungi or a banyan, they would cut and, mopping, cleaning your stove, everything. So you are constantly reusing resources till the end of its life. It's like you get up and brush your teeth. Every day you do it till the end of your life. So sustainability should become a part of you like that.
Yeah. You know what really gets me, the core of me, is seeing so much plastic lying around in, say, rivers and small streams. It's just infested with plastic. There's a lot of anti-plastic movement, but just to clean up the amount of plastic bags and others, just waste lying around in our streams. Right. So I'm getting to water now. We've dealt with soil, and water also is such an important aspect of our sustainability. Is there, do you think, enough being done to clean that aspect up? And of course, groundwater as well through a better waste management.
They're all contaminated in every way. There's plastic everywhere, as you said. Plastic is like, you just can't do without plastic. But definitely you can be aware of how much you generate, right? Because it does end up in waterways. And another thing that I have adopted at home is that I won't just discharge chemicals from my home into the waterways, wherever it's going. So I use natural products, bioenzymes, shikakai, soap nut liquid for all my laundry, my dishwash. So I think awareness is very important on the impact that you have on this planet. We are not even aware. Like rainwater harvesting is so important. In Bangalore, it's mandated that you recharge the groundwater, you collect all your roof water. So if places everywhere, if it is done, then we'll have enough water in the aquifers.
Your core work is in composting.
Yeah.
And can you lead us through some of the elementary steps to make sure that people listening are aware and can hopefully start it in their own small spaces?
So composting is like magic happening. You're mimicking nature. So what's happening in the natural world is exactly that when you start composting at your home. So a lot of people have a lot of issues with composting because they're not aware of the final happiness that you get when you compost. So they have constraints of space, time, it could lead to some issues with smell.
Even before that, though, sorry to interrupt, there is, of course, waste segregation, which people need to understand, wet waste and otherwise. So perhaps that's where the journey begins for people to realize how to segregate their waste and then look after it.
Exactly. In Bangalore, we have three-way segregation. It is the wet waste, that's organic waste, the dry waste, which is recyclable, and toxic reject waste, which is like sanitary waste, medical waste and all that. So we do it in three categories. So once you segregate your waste, 60% is your wet waste, which comes from your kitchen. And to manage it at home should be the easiest because there is a science behind composting. But what you are practicing is the art of composting. To me, it's the art. It's the art and the magic of what happens in a compost bin. It's brimming with life. So you need a container, you need a space, and you just need to understand the process.
And it's not expensive.
No, it's not.
Right.
It's not. You can DIY. Take an old paint bucket, wash it well, put some, because we're talking about aerobic composting in our home. So it needs a lot of oxygen in it. So you drill some holes, small holes, so that it's kept aerated. Have a ducken, one lid on it. That's it. That's your bin.
And churn it once in a while.
Yes. So when you have to compost, you have your kitchen waste, but that's highly wet. It is as it starts to break down, there'll be a lot of water. So that's nitrogen part of your compost. And you need a carbon part to manage the balance of the moisture. So that is nothing but dry leaves. And dry leaves are in plenty. Every tree sheds dry leaves in season. We just collect those dry leaves and they become the carbon part, and these dry leaves don't get lost because they are the nature is gifting you amazing resource for you to put it back into soil, not to sweep it away and burn it, causing air pollution also. So you take the dry leaves, you take your kitchen peels, you put them together and you mix them. When you mix them, the wet does not get compacted. So you will not have problems with smell. Because when it gets compacted, what happens in the landfill is it becomes anaerobic. There's no oxygen. But when you put the dry leaves with it, it starts to be very fluffy and it has enough oxygen going into it and it breaks down beautifully.
And the whole bucket ends up with a little handful of gold, really.
Yeah, it's black gold.
Do you find any resistance or are you finding more and more support? Because it's not only households that need to do all of this, it's larger organizations as well, big companies, the government itself. Are they all with the plan now or is there still some resistance to doing what is obviously leading to great wellness?
I wouldn't say there is much resistance now because people are coming. As an organization, we are Solid Waste Management Roundtable, just citizens coming together, and we are getting more and more requests from companies and corporates to come and do workshops, training, so that they all adopt sustainable living. We have a Kalika Kendra here in HSR layout where they get trained on the entire cycle of life. What composting leads to, what kind of food that you can grow, and how segregation. So we do a demo on, a drawing room, how can you make it sustainable? Your kitchen, how can you make it sustainable? What kind of products can you use? Non-chemical products. When you go out, what is a travel kit that you can carry where you can refuse, single use? I have a bag. People say, oh, so much things you carry. I said, well, if you think that's a burden, I don't think so. I don't want to burden my planet.
You've got really strong shoulders on which you're carrying our new earth. But Vani, fantastic work, I've got to say. I have a few questions which can be termed as rapid fire.
Okay.
So we'll need a quick answer, a short answer from you.
Okay.
Are you ready for that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Composting as a family activity or individual endeavor?
Mostly individual. Because not all families like that activity. So the conscious person is the one who's doing it.
Well, I hope it turns into a family activity.
Oh, yes.
Everybody needs to be
involved. I think
involved.
Ultimately it does.
Okay, for now. Number 2, if you had the attention of the entire world for a moment, what would you say?
I would say deep dive into understanding your lifestyle's impact on this planet.
Your life's mantra in 3 words.
Tension lene ka nahi.
True.
At 62, that's only mantra I have.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Absolutely.
No tension. Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to keep it away from my life too, by the way. So what is your go-to wellness practice?
Staying very close to nature.
Choose one. Zero waste lifestyle or sustainable living?
Sustainable living. Because there's nothing like humans can't be zero waste.
Well, Vani, that's all we have for you in our chat today. And I must say, it's been a fantastic experience. I wish you more power and wind beneath your wings. I hope many more people adopt composting and realize that we're all responsible, as you said, that famous quote about borrowing the earth for those who are to follow. Yeah. And it's because of you and people like you and everything that you do that the earth hopefully will be a better place to live in.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Charu.
Well, that ends another episode of the House of Wellness Season 2. Hope you enjoyed the chat with Vani, who is an absolute, compost queen, she said, or Wormrani in whatever she does. And it was such a delight to listen to her and all the fabulous things that she is doing to help us understand that sustainability, that composting, that making the earth a better place is actually our wellness mantra as well, in terms of our holistic wellness, which is our mantra for the House of Wellness Season 2. But remember, it is all about you. So be well, stay well, be kind to yourself, compost, and we'll see you next time.